Many of you will no doubt remember when just over a year ago, hell has it been that long already, I released a video entitled War Thunder the Grind Problem, in which I discussed just that, the issues that War Thunder's immense grind presents to the game at large. I went a little emotional with that one, while also giving ample supporting evidence as to why the grind was, in my opinion, too long, while also discussing why it is this way, without simply resorting to the excuse of Gaijin greedy, Gaijin bad, why are you making me so sad? The video obviously touched a nerve with the player base, becoming one of my most popular videos I've ever made. But there's just one problem. In order to both discuss the issue and its nuances without simply creating more questions or arguments, as well as highlighting a potential fix, I ended up with over an hour-long video essay, far too long to expect most people to watch the whole thing. Whilst I don't think an hour was at all unreasonable to fully unpack what is a very deep and long-standing issue that exists for a very good reason and needs to be treated carefully, I've been tossing with the idea of making a TLDR version ever since. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. If you have seen that video, then this one will just be a refresher, but if the original was too long for you to spend time watching, or you didn't see it at all, then I highly recommend that if this video strikes a nerve with you and you enjoy/agree with it, that you check out the original, which will be linked in the cards and the video description below. If you have any questions or uncertainties, chances are I answered them there. Just be ready for some rambling. Because I expect this video to get a decent amount of views, I'll also say right now that I hope if you enjoy this video that you leave a like and a comment to help me out, share it around if you agree, and subscribe for more videos every week. I also want to thank our supporters on Pledsto, which is similar to Patreon, but without the hassle of creating an account, the fees that Patreon takes, or the $1 minimum requirement. Thank you to all who have supported already, and let's get into this. War Thunder is my favourite game of all time, and one that I've come back to after attempting to quit 3 times over the past 8 years. No other game contains such a wide variety of vehicles and caters to such a wide variety of gameplay loops. Bombing and dogfighting, World War II light, medium and heavy tanks to modern day MBTs, attack helicopters and SAM systems, and naval combat from coastal patrol boats to capital ships, spanning over 105 years of vehicle development from our oldest to our youngest vehicles. This is all incredibly good. It is what sets this game apart from others in its genre, but it can create problems. In the past, I've talked about how this spreads a player base too thin, creating long match queues as there just aren't enough players to fill a game, necessitating the overcompression of battle ratings and creating bad balance, which discourages players from playing, shrinks the player base, and the problem cycles over. The most major issue, however, in my experience, is the length of the grind, and more importantly, what the grind actually entails. We'll cover both in this video. The game of course relies on a tech tree model, that is, you start from the oldest and most basic tech and play the game to accrue research points, XP and other games, to unlock progressively more capable machines to play. I don't think this model is a bad thing at all. In fact, while many gamers might be unhappy with it, it is a very common trope and completely okay for a free-to-play title like War Thunder. It rewards experience and devotion, forces an upward skill curve, at least in theory, where higher tier gameplay is only accessible to longer term players and therefore requires more experience to remain competitive, and prevents the game feeling stale. Regardless of your opinion on such a model, you can rest assured it isn't going anywhere anytime soon. It's just too intrinsic to Gaijin's business model, because offering the ability for players to pay to speed up their grind is the main way Gaijin makes money. That idea that Gaijin needs their money may have already convinced you that this issue will never be fixed, but I have hope. See, the thing about Gaijin needing to make money is that the grind needs to be that Goldilocks length for that to work. Not too short that there's no need to pay and no need to get good in order to reach high tiers, but not so long that it stops being worth the money you'll need to put in to research those tiers and instead just chases players away. This is the problem Gaijin has been experiencing ever since 2018, when this game really started to focus on vehicles beyond the 1950s, and Gaijin would more than triple the number of vehicles available in the multiple tech trees over the next years. It just isn't worth what it costs. While an already experienced player could start a new account tomorrow and grind their way to rank 3 in a weekend or rank 6 in a month, a brand new player will likely take around 2 years to reach the top rank with their main nation. Having never played the game or anything quite like it before, they have to learn the game and the controls and get used to them, learn the maps, and learn the enemy vehicles they're expected to fight, which is very difficult to do without playing them. But diversifying the number of nations whose tech trees you grind to better understand how to fight against them will only triple that grind ahead of you. Expect to grind a whole tree in a year, even with a premium account, which a single year of premium will cost you almost $100, that is way too much, Gaijin, will likely require an average of 6 hours gameplay per day. This game is extremely good, ignoring its balance and server issues, but it's not that good. With a more likely average of around 2.5 hours a day, you're going to need to spend some hard cash if you want top tier vehicles in a reasonable amount of time, and you're paying, so let's shorten that requirement to 8 months. 8 months averaging 2.5 hours per day, that is well over 500 hours, you can look at around $2,000 to get all the way to top rank with your main nation. Let's take America, as it's statistically where most players start. You'll need to buy premium vehicles, the lower tier the cheaper, but the sooner they stop being worthwhile, and your goal is top tier, so let's take the XM1, Harrier and Apache packs, that's already $170, but you get 45 days of premium with those packs all up, and 6,000 Golden Eagles, which you'll likely want to spend on more premium time to fill the rest of those 8 months. So you'll have to spend another $40 to fill out the 220 something days of your 8-month deadline, that's $210. You're also going to need more GE to convert the free RP you earn each battle. This can only be converted to vehicle research using GE. Side note, there should be other ways of accessing all that. Not to mention, given that you'll be grinding at a rapid rate, you'll also need to divert some GE into buying additional silver lions for purchasing vehicles, as well as crew and replenishment costs, as you won't be earning nearly enough per battle to support that, especially if you're new to the game. Now you just have 100 vehicles to research, unlock and purchase, and you'll have a lineup consisting of the M1A2 Abrams, Apache, F4 Phantom, M3 Bradley, as well as a SAM system in the ADATs, plus more additional lines if you want other types of vehicles, like the Striker or A7 Corsair 2 to replace the mostly ineffective Harrier you bought. That's right, you can't just use a single vehicle. Not only do you need 6 vehicles from each rank before being able to start on vehicles from the next, but the game also relies on you being able to respawn multiple times and use different unit types depending on the situation. Having only 1 or 2 vehicles puts you at a further disadvantage, losing you more games, which in turn cuts your earnings in half and makes the grind that much longer. Now, I'm sure you won't be satisfied playing those 3 premiums for 2.5 hours a day for 8 months straight, and if you're only spending, say, $70, the price of your average AAA title, on a couple of lower tier premiums, but grinding like everyone else, it's going to take you far, far longer to get to the top of the trees, and that's still only one nation. The long and short of it is, it takes too much f***ing time, or money, especially when compared to War Thunder's main competitors, Wargaming's 3 World of titles, which will take some half the time and a fifth the money to grind your first tier 10 vehicle. And you only need 1 to be competitive. For those of you still unconvinced, I want you to know that I hear you. This game's grind may not be so difficult for you, either because you're above average to very good at the gameplay, have a lot more time and or disposable income to devote to it, or have just been doing it for a long time and now any new nation or tech tree Gaijin adds will only take you a few weeks to fully unlock. That's why I wanted to focus on that whole second issue, what exactly it is that the grind entails. See, War Thunder's containing so many more vehicles than its main contemporary, at least in the ground battles aspect, World of Tanks, also means that it can attract more players interested in different types of ground warfare gameplay. World of Tanks doesn't feature any modern main battle tanks, its main focus is on World War II, and a little after to keep the nations balanced when they may not have been at the forefront of vehicle development for their time. War Thunder, however, presents players with not just World War II tanks, but an abundance of Vietnam-era vehicles, 80s and 90s tech, right up to a whole handful of vehicles that are more modern than the game itself. But like all players, you will start from the bottom, regardless of whether you're actually interested in World War II tanks, or whether you didn't even realise they were a part of the game, as all Gaijin's marketing material hypes up the top ranked stuff they want you to grind for. To be fair on them, they have gotten a lot better at this recently. But if you're a player who came to the game to play modern warfare tanks and attack helicopters, you've got a lot of grinding to do, and more importantly, it's grinding through what is effectively a whole other game you may not be at all interested in. Now, many players have been saying for years that lower tiers are more enjoyable than the top ranked stuff anyway, even for those plenty skilled enough to play it, although the prevalence of top tier premiums, which seem to be getting more and more overpowered and pay to win with each update, has meant that top tier really isn't any more skillful than the mid tiers. But all that is kind of irrelevant. For someone who came to the game expecting a modern warfare gameplay experience, perhaps because they served in the military in real life, enjoyed other games like Battlefield 3, DCS, Arma, Squad, or just because that's what interests them, not World War II, just telling them that T-72, Leopard 2, F4 Phantom or AH-1 Cobra gameplay ain't all it's cracked up to be, isn't going to immediately change what they are interested in. Meanwhile, all the players who are here for World War II, perhaps coming from World of Tanks, with no intention of playing anything beyond 1955, sure, they have a quick and easy month-long grind to get all the vehicles they want, but with each update pushing out more and more modern tech, are they even going to feel like they have a place in this game anymore? On the third hand, Gaijin halting all the focus on modern stuff to give us more World War II, as many of those players have been asking for, just makes the grind even longer for those still working through the tech trees and puts more of those tanks they aren't interested in playing in their way. If this game is about modern warfare, Abrams and T-72s in the desert with attack helicopters and SAMs, then there is no relevance to Panzer IIIs, Bf-109s, Spitfires, etc. However, if the game is about Tigers and KV-1s and Spitfires, then there is zero relevance to all of the attack helicopters, modern jets and modern tanks that have been added. My point is, you can't expect gamers who come to play modern technology to spend 8 months to 2 years and however much money playing World War II vehicles in order to get to the game they want to play. That would be nonsensical, players just wouldn't do it. The two commonly suggested ways to fix this are the people saying that it should have been a separate game from the beginning, which they're probably right, but it's too late for that now, and the suggestion of a split in the tech tree, allowing players to start from say the M60 or Leopard 1 if it's modern tech thereafter. But that just depopulates rank 1 completely, as there won't be enough people playing it to fill the matchmaker, a problem we touched on at the very beginning and I expanded on in the original grind problem video. I also proposed in that video a way to fix the grind problem which doesn't create those issues and might be just as attractive to Gaijin, all while providing players a better experience and potentially boosting player numbers in this game enormously. All this without implementing any new mechanics or systems, just using what the game already provides us: folders. Folders are all across the tech trees, putting vehicles that are incredibly similar, such as the M3 and M3A1 Stuarts, or Leopard 1A1 and 1A5, in behind each other so that only the first one stands in a player's way, with the second being available to grind should they want it, but nay necessary to progress further upwards. These folders could be our saving grace for the grind problem, by putting only the most important and iconic of the World War II and older era vehicles in the way of players for them to have to grind down, rather than a whole host of vehicles they've never heard of and couldn't care less about. As a player coming to the game for modern warfare, rather than have to grind through 8 models of the M4 Sherman, I could grind through just 3 before moving up, with the others being folded in behind those main 3. These types of folders can be applied all over the tech trees, knocking back the number of vehicles required to grind through from roughly 100 in each of the 4 main trees to just 30, which is about the number you were expected to grind through back in 2014. If you're rushing straight to top tier for that Abrams and F4 Phantom, playing 2 or 3 Shermans and 1 P51 Mustang won't bother you at all. But if you decide you're really enjoying them, or you come back a year later wanting to explore what you rushed past, then you've got all of the other variants just waiting for you to start grinding and experiencing how they improve over the base vehicles you went through. This also opens up a lot of opportunity for vehicles to be added that are extremely similar, such as the IS-3M, M48A5, Leopard 1A3 and 1A4, or Lightning F1. There's also the opportunity for multiple lines within folders, or even folders within folders. Let's say if the IS-4M and T10M are both folded in behind the IS-3, but so is the IS-3M, you could either skip straight to the IS-4M, or grab the IS-3M first if you find yourself enjoying the IS-3. But if you want to play a T-72 for example, you'll only have to grind through perhaps 2 T-34 variants after the BT Cruisers, 1 T-54, the T-62, and then you're there. That makes sense. You're grinding through a few of the icons that led to the Soviet Union developing the legendary T-72, and gaining an appreciation for the Soviet tank doctrine, as well as the value of your progress. But you're not being bogged down by dozens of tanks you don't care about, just those main ones that lead you through history. Effectively, with this new system, the game isn't about World War II or modern tech. Whichever you enjoy, what it's about is that journey through history itself. The fact that Gaijin could add so many more vehicles quite easily, while also bolstering the player base as they'll be able to grind for what they want without playing too much of what they don't, also means that Gaijin could increase the RP cost of early rank vehicles. Now hear me out. Gaijin's main answer to the never-ending complaints about their insanely long and arduous grind has been to, on occasion, lower the RP cost of vehicles in each rank, usually when a new one comes in on top. Gaijin can't keep doing that, however, even if the grind needs to be shortened, and it doesn't fix the issue of too many vehicles in a player's way. What it does do, however, is mean that early war tanks like the Cromwell or T-28 Panzer III or M5 Stuart are effectively just tutorial level, taking only a match or two before they are completely skipped. In other games like World of Tanks, this is perfectly fine. The early tiers are beginner level, while the main gameplay opens up from tier 5 onwards. In War Thunder though, we've just spent the past 15 minutes talking about how each tier and each era is just as relevant as every other to someone, so why should the later ones take hundreds of matches to grind, but the rank 1s and 2s only a single half-decent match? The main problems people will highlight in response to this is that it allows newer and inexperienced players into higher tiers, and that it will depopulate the BRs that players are no longer required to play. But I don't see either of these as any worse than what we have currently, where the sheer grind ahead of players makes top-end premiums a necessary evil to get that modern fix, and therefore the issues already exist and would likely get better, not worse, as those premiums would be less needed. I went into much more depth about this in the original video, and as I said, I highly recommend you go watch that if this one struck a chord with you. Just keep in mind that some things, such as my Patreon, have gone through some changes. It's now Pledsto, and you can find it linked below. You may not think that there's any hope here, because Gaijin as a company thrives off of players being frustrated enough to give up on grinding and get out their wallets. But the sheer number of people that are giving up on grinding and abandoning War Thunder instead should be cause for Gaijin to at least be on the lookout for a better way. So make sure to share this video around, and everywhere you can, they may just listen. Even World of Tanks and World of Warships, after all, have taken on board community feedback and implemented radical changes to the way that their games work over the years. Don't let War Thunder be the one that falls behind and becomes stale. Aside from that, thank you, not just for watching this video and pressing that like button you're about to go and press, but for having this game's best interests at heart, enough to want to watch videos like these. This is a TLDR version, so I won't waffle on. Come join our live streams on Twitch every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. You can ask questions about this video or anything else, join games, all that jazz. Join our Discord at discord.gg/coalition, and I'll catch you lads on the battlefield. I was a little bit blind, but I feel like I'm gonna make the same mistake in about 8 seconds. Oh shit. I almost did. Reload, 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 reload! Ah! No, god damn it.